Welcome, my favorite people, the rare gems. Who you are when no one is watching is who you truly are. A Sigma female isn't defined by how she looks in a crowd or how she presents herself to the world. She's defined by what she does in private, in the moments where no one is there to validate her. While others perform for attention, she works in silence, refining herself, sharpening her mind, and strengthening her resolve. Most people avoid solitude because they fear what they might find. A Sigma female? She embraces it. She doesn't waste time seeking approval or explaining herself to those who will never understand her. Instead, she uses her solitude as a weapon, a space to analyze, strategize, and evolve. The world only sees the finished product, the unshakable confidence, the keen intelligence, the effortless independence. But they don't see the unseen work behind it. They don't see the ruthless self-examinations, the private mental battles, the quiet decisions to walk away from what doesn't serve her. They don't see the way she trains her mind to withstand chaos, how she rehearses for storms long before they arrive, or how she studies human nature like a strategist, always staying 10 steps ahead. This is what sets her apart. She is not afraid to look at herself honestly. She does not shy away from hard truths, and she never waits for life to test her. She tests herself first. If this sounds like you, understand this. You are not lost just because you walk alone. You are not cold just because you refuse to be manipulated. And you are not broken just because you think differently. You are a Sigma female. And while the world may never see the work you do in private, they will see the woman who emerges from it. Stronger, sharper, and untouchable. Number 1. Visualize multiple identities. A Sigma female refuses to be trapped in one identity. While most people define themselves by a single role, mother, professional, friend, or partner, she understands that identity is fluid. She doesn't just accept who she is, she questions it, challenges it, and imagines alternate versions of herself that could exist under different circumstances. It's not about being indecisive. It's about staying adaptable. When she's alone, she plays out different versions of her life in her mind. What if she took a different career path? What if she lived in another country? What if she became someone entirely different? This isn't daydreaming, it's strategy. She's constantly evaluating her choices, ensuring that she never gets stuck in a version of herself that no longer serves her. This ability to visualize multiple identities makes her unpredictable. While others get trapped in rigid self-definitions, afraid to change because they've invested too much in who they think they are, a Sigma female sees life as a series of possibilities. She's never afraid to walk away from a life that no longer aligns with her vision. She adapts, reinvents, and evolves without hesitation. Most people cling to labels because they fear the unknown, not her. She's comfortable in uncertainty because she knows that flexibility is power. If one version of her life collapses, she already has another one mapped out. If an opportunity presents itself, she can shift gears instantly because she's already explored that path in her mind. This mindset gives her an edge. People assume she's one thing, but she can become anything. She can step into new roles effortlessly, while others struggle to break free from their old selves. That's why she never panics when life changes, because she's already lived 100 different versions of herself in her head. A Sigma female is never just one person. She is every possibility she has ever imagined. Number 2. Play out the worst-case scenarios. A Sigma female never waits for disaster to strike. She meets it in her mind first. Long before anything happens, she's already seen it, lived it, and fought through it 100 times over. When others are caught off guard by betrayal, failure, or confrontation, she's unnervingly calm. Not because she's unshaken, but because she's already been here before, at least in her mind. She runs simulations like a strategist preparing for war. What if someone she trusts turns on her? What if she loses everything she's worked for? What if she's forced into a confrontation she didn't ask for? She doesn't just think about these scenarios, she mentally steps into them, feeling every emotional impact, testing different responses, and identifying her strongest moves. Each time, she sharpens her ability to navigate chaos without panic. This isn't negativity, it's preparation. She knows life is unpredictable and people are often unreliable. By playing out worst-case scenarios in advance, she ensures she's never the one caught unprepared. While others are left scrambling when things go wrong, she moves with precision, executing decisions as if they were second nature, because, in a way, they are. She's already fought these battles in her mind so many times that when the real test comes, it feels like muscle memory. The power in this habit isn't just in her ability to react. It's in her ability to remain unfazed. She doesn't let fear paralyze her because she's already faced it head-on. She doesn't waste time wondering why something happened. She skips straight to what needs to be done next. This level of mental discipline gives her an edge. She doesn't just survive difficult situations. She handles them so efficiently that people assume nothing rattles her. In reality, she feels everything. But she's trained herself to master the chaos instead of being consumed by it. While others fall apart when life gets tough, she simply steps into the storm, knowing she's already weathered it 100 times before. Number 3, they rehearse their coldest goodbyes. A Sigma female never finds herself trapped in a toxic relationship, begging for clarity or closure. That's because she's already rehearsed the goodbye long before it ever needs to happen. While others hold on out of fear, attachment, or habit, she prepares for the moment she may have to walk away, without hesitation, without regret. She doesn't cut ties impulsively. No, it's calculated. The moment she senses a shift, the subtle erosion of respect, the first signs of manipulation, or even the slow death of authenticity, she starts her mental preparation. She envisions the break, plays out the conversation, if there is one, and steels herself for the silence that follows. She does this not because she's heartless, but because she refuses to be caught off guard by disappointment. She's seen too many people stay in places where they're no longer valued, grasping at memories instead of facing reality. That will never be her. She ensures that when the time comes, her departure is swift, clean, and final. The people in her life rarely see it coming. They assume she'll tolerate mistreatment or that time will soften her resolve. But they don't realize that she's already emotionally detached. By the time she walks away, she's already grieved the loss privately. The goodbyes that might break others barely shake her, because she's rehearsed them to perfection. And when she goes in silence. No warnings, no dramatic speeches, just absence. Where she once brought warmth, there is now an unshakable cold. Those who underestimated her resilience will feel the weight of her absence far more than they ever appreciated her presence. This isn't about being cruel, it's about self-respect. A Sigma female refuses to waste time explaining why she deserves better. By the time someone realizes what they've lost, she's already moved on. And when they look back, all they'll find is a door that will never reopen. Number 4, they simulate their own death, metaphorically. A Sigma female doesn't just live. She steps outside of herself and asks the ultimate question: if I disappeared today, what would be left of me? Not in a morbid way, but as a tool for clarity. She imagines the world moving on without her. Who would actually notice? What work would remain? Would anything she's built still stand without her presence? This isn't some fleeting thought. It's an intense, deliberate exercise. She mentally removes herself from the equation, stripping away the noise, the distractions, the obligations that don't serve a real purpose. It forces her to see where her energy is truly going, and whether it's being wasted on things that won't matter in the end. By doing this, she cuts through illusions. She stops chasing validation, stops investing in people who wouldn't even flinch at her absence, and stops wasting time on things that hold no real weight. Instead, she refocuses on impact, on meaning, on the legacy she wants to leave behind, whether that's through her work, her mindset, or the way she carried herself in a world that constantly tried to mold her into something else. Most people avoid this kind of thinking because it's uncomfortable. It forces them to confront the truth, that much of what they stress over is temporary, and many of the people they bend over backward for wouldn't do the same in return. But a Sigma female doesn't shy away from discomfort. She welcomes it. She lets it refine her. This practice is why she's so intentional with her life, why she walks away from meaningless connections without hesitation, why she doesn't waste time explaining herself to those who will never understand her. She knows that when all is said and done, she alone is responsible for how she lived, what she created, and what she left behind. And so every day she refines, sharpens, strips away the excess, because she's not just living. She's making sure that when she's gone, something real remains. Number 5. They deeply engage with their favorite music or novel. When a Sigma female listens to music or dives into a novel, she's not just passing the time, she's experiencing it on a level most people never hear the lyrics. She feels them. She doesn't just read the words on a page. She enters the world the author created. It's not about entertainment, it's about connection, about immersion, about speaks to her soul. Music isn't just background noise for her. It's a portal. The right song can transport her to a memory, awaken emotions she thought she had buried, or put her into an She analyzes lyrics, feeling every nuance, picking apart the hidden pain, wisdom, or defiance woven into the melody. Whether it's a haunting symphony, a raw blues track, or a powerful anthem, she lets the sound take a heartbeat to the rhythm. And when it comes to books, she doesn't just read, she lives inside the story. She doesn't skim pages to get to the ending, she lingers, absorbing every line, every character, every underlying message. A well-written novel isn't just entertainment for her, it's a conversation with the writer, a challenge to her worldview, a mirror reflecting parts of herself she hadn't yet explored. This is why she often solitude, because this level of engagement requires focus, quiet, and the ability to be fully present. She doesn't want to be interrupted when a book is reshaping her perspective, or when a song is holding in. People don't always understand this about her. They wonder why she can listen to the same song on repeat for hours, or why she gets so lost in a book that she forgets to eat. But for her, these hobbies, they're a lifeline, a way to escape, to heal, to grow. Because in a world that often feels shallow, music and literature give her depth. They remind her of who she is, what she and why she'll never settle for anything less than extraordinary. Number 6. They immerse themselves in philosophy and explore profound existential questions. A Sigma female doesn't just exist, she dissects existence itself. While most people distract themselves with surface-level concerns, she plunges into the depths of philosophy, questioning everything from human nature to the meaning of life itself. This isn't about impressing anyone or chasing intellectual superiority. It's about sharpening her mind, strengthening her independence, and making sense of a world that often operates on autopilot. She doesn't just accept things as they are. She questions why people behave the way they do, why society rewards conformity, why happiness feels fleeting, why suffering seems inevitable. These aren't passing thoughts for her, they are rabbit holes she willingly dives into, seeking clarity, seeking truth. This is why small talk drains her. She'd rather have a conversation about Nietzsche's concept of eternal recurrence or the Stoic idea of controlling one's perception than discuss the latest gossip. It's not that she looks down on those who live on the surface, it's just that she's wired for depth. She needs substance. She needs conversations that challenge her, force her to rethink her assumptions, and sharpen her understanding of herself and the world. And it's not just about philosophy in books. She applies these ideas to real life. She studies the patterns of human behavior, the cycles of history, the paradoxes of human emotion. She examines her own mind with the same ruthless curiosity, questioning her motives, her desires, and even her pain. This self-examination is what makes her so unshakable. She's not just living, she's observing, analyzing, evolving. Most people avoid these thoughts because they're uncomfortable. They don't want to question their existence too much, afraid of what they might find. But a Sigma female embraces it. She knows that true freedom comes from understanding, not just the world, but herself. This is why she stands apart, why she's so difficult to manipulate. She doesn't just follow the script society hands her. She rewrites it entirely on her own terms, with her own philosophy guiding the way. Number 7. They test their limits in secret. A Sigma female never waits for life to test her. She tests herself first. And she does it in silence where no one can interfere, judge, or interrupt. While most people only push their limits when they have an audience to impress, she does it in private, where the real work happens. She challenges herself mentally by diving into complex problems, forcing her brain to stretch beyond comfort. She might take on a difficult subject, solve intricate puzzles, or spend hours deconstructing an idea until she fully understands it. She doesn't stop when it gets hard. That's when she leans in, because she knows that growth comes from discomfort, from wrestling with the unfamiliar until it becomes second nature. Physically, she pushes her body past its usual thresholds. Maybe she's training in the gym, running farther than she thought possible, or practicing a physical skill relentlessly until it becomes instinct. She doesn't need a trainer shouting encouragement or a crowd cheering her on. She doesn't need validation. She needs results, and she gets them because she's willing to suffer in the dark so she can emerge stronger in the light. Emotionally, she challenges herself in ways most people avoid. She confronts her fears head-on. She forces herself to sit with painful emotions instead of running from them. She builds resilience not by avoiding hardship, but by embracing it, studying it, and making peace with it. She doesn't allow herself to be ruled by weakness. If something shakes her, she analyzes it, understands it, and takes away its power. The best part? No one sees this process. They only see the results. The unshakable confidence, the effortless competence, the quiet but undeniable strength. They assume she was born this way, never realizing how much work went on behind closed doors. She doesn't test her limits for applause. She does it because she refuses to be ordinary. Because the real battle is never with the world. It's always her versus her. And every time she pushes past a limit, she proves to herself that there are no limits at all. Number 8. They speak to themselves with brutal honesty. A Sigma female doesn't sugarcoat things for herself. When she looks in the mirror, she doesn't see what she wants to see. She sees what's actually there. No self-pity, no excuses, no delusions. Just raw, unfiltered truth. Most people avoid this kind of honesty because it's uncomfortable. They cushion their failures with excuses, blame others for their shortcomings, and tell themselves convenient lies to feel better. A Sigma female. She refuses to play that game. If she's slacking, she calls herself out. If she's avoiding something out of fear, she forces herself to face it. If she's not living up to her own potential, she demands more from herself, without waiting for life to do it for her. This isn't about being cruel. It's about being real. She understands that self-deception is the quickest way to stay stagnant, and she has no interest in standing still. That's why when no one is watching, she sits with herself and interrogates her thoughts, her choices, and her weaknesses. She asks herself the hard questions. Why did that situation bother me so much? Am I reacting from a place of strength or insecurity? Am I living by my own values, or am I slipping into comfort? She doesn't wait for someone else to hold her accountable. She does it herself, long before anyone else has the chance. And here's the difference between her and the rest. When she finds something in herself that she doesn't like, she fixes it. She doesn't drown in guilt or waste time on self-loathing. She adjusts, learns, and moves forward. People see her confidence and assume she's naturally strong. What they don't realize is that her strength was built, brick by brick, through these brutal conversations with herself. Because while others tell themselves comforting lies, she chooses the truth. And that's why, no matter what life throws at her, she always comes out ahead. Number 9. They research and hone their skills obsessively. A Sigma female doesn't believe in half measures. When she decides to learn something, she doesn't just scratch the surface. She dives deep, obsessing over every detail until mastery is the only outcome. She isn't interested in impressing people with shallow knowledge or trendy skills. She wants real competence, something solid, something undeniable. When she sets her mind on a skill, whether it's self-defense, coding, psychology, writing, or even an obscure craft, she doesn't wait for someone to guide her. She finds the books, the courses, the experts. She studies in the quiet hours when no one is watching. She practices relentlessly, refining her technique, testing her understanding, and pushing through the frustration that makes most people quit. And here's the thing, she never announces what she's working on. No grand declarations, no unnecessary validation seeking. She prefers the silent grind, the kind that shocks people when they finally see the results. One day she's just good at something and no one knows where it came from. That's because while others waste time talking about what they want to do, she's already doing it. Her obsession with skill building isn't just about achievement, it's about independence. She refuses to rely on others for things she can learn herself. If she needs to fix something, she researches until she can. If she's curious about a subject, she doesn't wait for a class. She devours every resource she can find. Knowledge is power, and she collects it like a weapon, sharpening herself in ways most people don't even consider. But she's also strategic. She doesn't chase skills for the sake of it. She hones the ones that matter, the ones that will give her leverage, security, or a deeper understanding of the world. And this is why people underestimate her, until they don't. Because by the time they realize the depth of her expertise, it's already too late to catch up. She's mastered it, moved on, built something for herself that no one can take away. And while the rest are still talking, she's already 10 steps ahead. Number 10. They extract themselves from emotional debt. A Sigma female treats her emotional energy the way a sharp investor treats their money, wisely, strategically, and without sentimentality. She understands that emotions are a form of currency, and just like financial debt, emotional debt can leave you drained, overextended, and powerless. That's why she keeps track of where her energy is going, who's taking more than they give, and which relationships are nothing more than quiet forms of manipulation. Unlike most people, she doesn't ignore the warning signs. She notices when she's always the one offering support but receiving nothing in return. She recognizes when someone only reaches out to her when they need something. She senses when a connection has become one-sided, when she's no longer being valued but merely used. And instead of making excuses for people, instead of hoping they'll change, she does what others are too afraid to do. She extracts herself. She doesn't announce it. She doesn't argue or demand an explanation. She simply disappears, slowly, subtly, until one day, those who drained her realize she's gone. And by then, it's too late. No dramatic exits, no need for closure, just silence. To some, this may seem harsh, but to her, it's necessary. She refuses to be emotionally indebted to people who never intended to pay back what they took. She refuses to pour into empty cups when her own well-being is at stake. And most of all, she refuses to allow guilt or obligation to keep her tied to people who would never do the same for her. This is why she moves differently, why she always seems to have energy when others are exhausted, why she's selective with who gets access to her mind, her time, and her presence. She doesn't let emotional parasites attach themselves to her, and she certainly doesn't let them linger. Because at the end of the day, a Sigma female knows one simple truth. If it's costing her peace, it's too damn expensive. Number 11. They erase sentimental attachments to places and objects. A Sigma female doesn't just clean out her closet. She clears out anything that tries to claim a hold on her. She understands the weight that sentimental attachments can carry, how a single object can keep a person emotionally chained to the past. That's why she doesn't just declutter for the sake of organization. She removes things that no longer serve her, especially if they try to anchor her to a version of herself she's already outgrown. Unlike most people who cling to old love letters, gifts from toxic exes, or souvenirs from times they'll never get back, she doesn't let objects dictate her emotions. If something carries too much sentimental weight, if it whispers nostalgia in her ear, making her second-guess her progress, she lets it go. Not because she's cold, but because she refuses to be owned by memories. It's not that she doesn't feel. She feels deeply. But she refuses to let her emotions be tethered to things. A dress from a past relationship? Gone. A trinket from a friendship that ended in betrayal? Removed. Even places aren't immune. If a certain coffee shop reminds her of someone who hurt her, she won't sit there reminiscing. She'll find a new place, claim a new space. This habit isn't about erasing her past. It's about refusing to let it dictate her future. She knows that objects don't hold meaning. People do. And when those people are no longer part of her story, neither are the things that come with them. What remains in her life is intentional. Every item, every place she chooses to revisit is there because it serves her present, not just her past. She moves through life unattached, free from the invisible strings that bind others to moments they should have left behind. Because for a Sigma female, true freedom isn't just about independence from people. It's about independence from anything that tries to hold power over her, even if it's just a faded photograph in a forgotten drawer. Conclusion: what you do in the dark will determine who you are in the light. Being a Sigma female isn't about titles or labels. It's about the quiet, unseen work you put into yourself when no one is watching. It's about the battles you fight within, the standards you refuse to lower, and the way you sharpen your mind and soul in solitude. The world only sees the results, the confidence, the resilience, the sharp intellect, but they don't see how you got there. They don't see the ruthless self-interrogation, the silent tests of endurance, the emotional audits where you cut out what drains you. They don't see the private lessons you teach yourself, the knowledge you devour, or the mental simulations you run to stay 10 steps ahead. But you know that strength isn't built in front of an audience. It's built in the moments of silence when no one is there to clap for you. It's built in the late-night reflections, in the quiet decisions to keep pushing, in the willingness to be brutally honest with yourself. And here's the truth. Most people will never understand why you move the way you do. They'll call you cold when you detach, distant when you observe, and ruthless when you walk away. But that's only because they can't see the full picture. They don't know that you aren't unfeeling. You just refuse to be ruled by emotion. They don't know that you aren't lonely. You just value your own company above all else. You are not weak for choosing solitude. You are not cruel for setting boundaries. And you are not lost just because you don't follow the crowd. You are a Sigma female. And the world may never see the work you do behind closed doors, but they will feel the impact of the woman you've become because of it. Thank you for watching The Rare Gems, and God bless you.